Hello. Today we're going to be going through another really fun and exciting dashboard. We're going to get to know our customers. This is our KYC, Know Your Customer dashboard. It's essentially a consolidation of all of our transactional sales data married to a consumer segmentation model that we brought in. Different consumer segments are identified by these clusters, these cluster IDs, and a cluster represents, yes, both sort of buying, ethnic, and demographic group of a consumer base. But these models are often can be enhanced with, for example, views, experience, and mosaic data. They could be enhanced with consumer preference surveys. It could be enhanced with certain other market indicators. So it could be really diverse and really sophisticated sort of segmentation models that we could apply. Here we're marrying our data to our sales in various regions for various products along DMAs, which are designated marketing areas by Nielsen. As you can see, there's sort of like not quite like states, but a little bit bigger than counties. These are all the DMAs across the country. And each DMA is identified by a dominant or main sort of cluster. And by looking at our sales in each region, we could sort of identify the consumer groups, the consumer segments, which we're either gaining in, sustaining, or in a worst case scenario, losing. And if we take a look at the various demographic indicators of those consumer groups, maybe we could figure out what's going on, what's driving the sales up or down across the regions based off their demographic makeup. So the top two charts here show our sales across these consumer clusters. You can see that our main three consumer clusters were actually growing in moderately. This is really good, but we are losing this consumer cluster 23. This chart shows you the product performance versus last year. Our sort of main products like soup is growing, but sort of losing a little bit on appetizers, meat, and barley. And at the bottom of the chart, we have all this data tied to the DMAs, like I mentioned, and to the demographic info. So if we click on our top sort of consumer group here, let's give the dashboard a second to reload. You can see that this consumer segment is sort of happens to be dominant in a few regions across the country. Some of these regions are doing well, some of these regions are not doing well. So it's very informative to sort of take a look at perhaps what's happening in, Seattle versus this Oregon region or Portland region, and try to discern just from the makeup of these two regions if there's something else going on. So for example, relatively very similar median age. Seattle is growing in sales. Portland is declining in sales, by the way. Median age is the same. Per capita income in Portland's quite a bit less, actually, right? An income level of 5K less per year is actually quite a bit less. So probably different, totally different customer base. Consumer expenditure likewise is down. Total households, not that many households in there, and slightly larger Hispanic component. That's already like starting to inform you the consumers. Perhaps I need to reach them in a different way. If I'm running the same marketing campaigns, maybe I have to investigate, what's going in, what's the messaging in those campaigns. That would be the next logical step here. So that's great. That's how a lot of these sort of dashboards are meant to be used, where we really want to understand sort of how our consumer groups are driving our business essentially, and exactly if they're even the right people that we intended to reach. We could do another analysis. So for example, this consumer segment we're losing, this cluster, let's take a look at these ones. Okay. Um, this is interesting. So they're doing well in our top two product categories. They're getting, we're really losing in them on these appetizers. Across the country, they're kind of localized in Miami and in LA. So why would Miami be doing well, positive sales, where LA is a little bit down in sales, about 16% actually. Taking a look at their demographics, we see their median ages. LA is a little bit younger. LA is just a tiny bit wealthier, which is interesting. Average consumer expenditure in LA is way up, way ton more households to reach, and relatively strong sort of Hispanic component in each. So looking at this data, you got to wonder like, what's the messaging going out in these two regions? I mean, we should be, if we, we're a young hip company, we should be winning in LA for sure. But what's the messaging and what's the marketing like going out to these two different regions to sort of drive sales in this way? That's the type of analysis that know your customer can enable. Sort of starts to build a foundation of marketing campaigns, and the next step is to sort of take a look at your marketing spends and the type of campaigns you're running in these regions. Try to analyze what's working and what's not. We certainly have dashboards for that. So I hope you enjoyed that. It was one of our favorite dashboards to sort of run through. It's a lot of fun to put the data together in this way, and we'll see you on the next one.